Pinching Flurry. Written by Posh. Shining Armor strode into Twilight's castle with an easy smile on his face. His sister, practically glowing, smiled back. Resting in one of her forelegs was a contented Flurry heart, whose eyes bulged wide at the sight of her father. She blurbled excitedly, holding her forelegs out towards him. "Hey there, cutie." Shining cooed at his daughter. To Twilight, he grinned. How was she? "An absolute joy as ever," Twilight replied, bouncing Flurry softly, if a bit stinky at times. "Isn't that to be expected, though?" Shining leaned forward and kissed Flurry on the head, and she squealed delightedly. "So I take it you've packed everything up?" "Mm-hmm." Twilight levitated forward, a pile of luggage. Formula, bottles, stack of diapers, safety pins, blankets, toys, music box, 3 storybooks you bought with her, 4 additional storybooks from my personal library, mobile, bassinet. She paused, frowned, then shrugged, hugging Flurry closer. "I don't think I'm forgetting anything. So yeah, that about covers it, I think. Bon voyage!" Shining glanced at his daughter and raised an eyebrow. "Aren't you forgetting something, Twilight?" "No, I'm not." Twilight straightened herself. "I've decided I'm keeping Flurry Heart." Shining groaned and face-huffed. "Twily." "I've thought long and hard about this." "Twily." "And I'm not willing to part with her. You and Cadus will just have to make another one." Shining glared at her. "For you to steal?" "It's a 50-50 chance," Twilight said blithely, stroking her cheeks against Flurry's mane. "Can't beat the odds." "Twily." Shining, mindful of Flurry, spoke firmly yet quietly. "You can't keep my daughter." "But she's perfect, Shiny!" Twilight whined. She levitated Flurry in front of her. "Just look at those cheeks! Pinching them is like pinching a pair of heavenly marshmallows." Flurry, dangling in the grip of Twilight's magic, struck the tips of her wings into her mouth and babbled into them. Drool ran down and dripped from her feathers. "I'm keenly aware of how pinchable her cheeks are," Shining said evenly, "but that as it may, they are not worth starting an international incident over. Unless you want to explain to Cadence through diplomatic channels why you're holding her daughter and heir hostage in your magic crystal friendship castle." He held out a foreleg expectantly. Twilight spluttered, struggling to come up with a rebuttal. Finally she huffed and levitated Flurry into her father's embrace. "International incident? The Emperor doesn't even have full autonomy." "You'd start some kind of incident, that's my point." Shining nuzzled Flurry with the tip of his nose and kissed her beside the horn. "Besides, wouldn't you need all these bottles and blankets and whatever if you're going to keep a baby under your roof?" "I couldn't just send you home empty-hooved. And I may have already written to Mom to send over Spike's stuff from when he was a baby." "Didn't waste any time, did you? My sister's got a real devious streak." Shining chuckled, but when Twilight didn't return it, he looked to see melancholy on her face. "What's the matter?" "It's..." Twilight pawed at the floor and cast her gaze at her hooves. "I guess I'm just... Every time I'm with Flurry, I start thinking about Spike. He's getting older, maturing, and he's getting less and less tolerant of me treating him like a kid." "His cheeks do look less pinchable every time I see him," mused Shining, as he rocked Flurry gently. Twilight sighed. "There are some times when I miss that little hatchling that liked to suck on his tail and crawl into his bed with me on stormy nights. He's not gonna be little Spiky Wikey for much longer, and he's not gonna need me to pamper him anymore. After him, Flurry's the closest thing I get to have a foal of my own." She snorted. "Not like any pony's lining up to bestow one upon me." "What about Flash?" "What about Flash?" Twilight said flatly, glaring. "Okay, sore spot avoiding." "I get what you're saying, Twilight," said Shining. He stepped closer and embraced his sister. "To be honest, Sometimes I get nostalgic thinking about how tiny and marshmallow way you used to be. He demonstrated with a tiny squeeze on the side of her face, and she smacked his hoof away, suppressing a smile. Hard to believe that pinchable little purple chub monster turned into you. Then I think about how that'll be for Flurry someday, and Twilight tilted her head. And it reminds me of how important it is for me to cherish these years. They're going to be gone before I know it, and I want to hold on to them for as long as I can. He smiled. It'll be hard to do that if her auntie hides her under her skirt every time she full sits. Twilight laughed sheepishly. Alright, I see your point. I won't make a habit of it. Glad to hear it. Shining kissed Twilight's cheek, levitated Flurry's luggage onto his back, and made for the exit. Just one thing. Twilight sounded nervous. Cadence, she wouldn't be all that upset if I just kept Flurry for an indefinite period of time, would she? Shining fixed her with a serious look. Twily. Favorite sister-in-law or no? Princess of love, notwithstanding. If you got between Cadence and her baby, she would wreck you. And of course, I'd be expected to join in. He shrugged. It's best for every pony if we avoid that. He nuzzled his daughter again and exited the castle, enjoying a private laugh at the ashen look on his sister's face. Thing is, I can definitely see that. Don't get between a mama and her baby. It's dangerous. And considering Cadence has a little bit more experience when it comes to magic, at least that's my assumption since she is older and has had her alicorn magic for longer, yeah, that would be difficult. Fairly difficult. Twilight underestimates her sister-in-law. That was Pinching Flurry, written by Posh. Hope you all enjoyed, and keep watching that moon, everyone. Bye!
We here at Pony&Wolf Productions thank these amazing patrons of ours for their monthly support, without which all of this would not be possible. We sincerely appreciate it, and every dollar helps, is needed, and will be used to keep us going to produce audiobooks for your continued enjoyment. It is, now more than ever, important that you support your favorite creators if possible, due to YouTube changing in a way that is not very friendly to content creators. Especially small content creators, like us. In recent months, the names you see on screen have enabled Midnight and Visual Pony to keep going and only having to sell off part of their belongings to not end up on the street. As an incentive for everyone, Visual Pony has broken a vow and has promised to read and record Fallout Equestria, Murky number 7, should the monthly support reach $1,500. To be clear, this is the absolute minimum amount needed to keep the apartment and all bills paid without starving, while a production of this size is ongoing. The estimated time for this production would be 3 to 4 years, but people already said that Project Horizons was impossible to do, right? And now look who did it, so with Pony&Wolf, you know we can finish the job. For further information on how to support us, please have a look at the description of this video, as there are also other ways, like our merch store. Sincerely and forever yours, your Pony&Wolf team.